What is very helpful is I use a head torch because you need to generally have both hands available and be able to have light where you're using. So if you're doing it as a DIYer, get yourself a decent head torch. So I'm going to take off this the cover of the radiator fan just to allow better access to get to the exhaust gas temperature plate that we're going to install. This is the plate we're going to be removing, and these are can be very troublesome to remove because they are exposed to such high temperatures and moisture. Often these are rusted and seized in place and they don't move at all. So I'm going to be giving them a bit of a whack, put on an Allen key adapter and then give them a bit of a whack, spray it with a little bit of lubricant just to help it along, and then we'll give it a go. So on a Td5 and a TDI, a 300 TDI, I will do this first, because if these break off, your exhaust gas is going to escape here and you're going to have a problem. So if these don't crack loose immediately, we stop the installation and work on for the average DIYer, you would call a specialist to come and remove those two broken studs. What we're going to do, just so that we can get the camera in nicely, is I have to remove this hose anyway, because I'm going to be fitting the adapter for coolant level in the top here. So just so that the camera can get a good view of the EGT plate, I'm going to be removing this. It's a case of loosen the hose clamp on the hose and just start wiggling it, just to try and loosen it. This one came off very quickly, but some might not. They might be stuck on there. So you just want to maneuver it gently. Do not pinch hard on it. You will break the water hose. So there is coolant that's going to come out or not. Okay, when we fit the coolant level adapter, this thing is going to scream immediately, because that's the coolant level at the moment in this thing. What almost everybody would have in their workshop or in their toolkit, a ball peen hammer would probably be better, and you can't use a much bigger hammer just because of the area. So I'm just going to get in there and give them each a little tap. I'm going to go in there with some lubricating spray and add that to the mix, and then we'll give it a go cracking it open. I'm using a 3/4 inch drive with an adapter on it. Not everybody will have access to this. This just makes it easier. You can use a normal Allen key, which most people will have access to. It just means that I've got greater movement on the thing to move it, but you can remove it with an Allen key. Oh, not good. And don't even think about stripping it. If it doesn't want to come reasonably quickly, don't fight with it. You will strip the cap screw. We'll try the bottom one. Oh, those are in tight. I'll give it another little shock treatment. So I'm using the spanner as a lever on the Allen key, and oh, it is just not good news. Let's try the bottom one. Oh, it's just in the wrong place on the Allen key. It appears that might be an epic fail, but the reality is the average DIYer is going to face this. And these Td5s, a lot of them are getting older, and it's either going to break off or it's turning out.
Looks like it's turning out.
Yes. This is what you want to avoid. That's the reality. So let's see if we can maneuver the bottom one. So the one is broken off. Let's see if this one gives us any joy whatsoever. You don't want the bit to be half in or at all. It's got to make absolutely, it's got to go all the way in. Nope. I want to be hopeful. Maybe we'll get one out. We might be lucky with the bottom one.
Just remind around 40.
Oh. That was the sound you don't want to hear.
Where's it coming out?
See, and it is unfortunately the fate of the Td5s, and the TDI 300 TDI also has the plate. And you can drill into the manifold, but this is by far the most practical, useful spot, and it's the kit that Madman supplies. So we're going to phone a clever person. I'm not even going to fight with it. This adapter, we are now going to cut the hose and insert this adapter and put hose clamps around the two ends. So this adapter receives the temperature sender and the water level sender, which is essentially a stainless steel screw which makes contact with the water. When there's no water detected, the alarm goes off. So there's a few places you can do it. You can do it down here, you can do it over here. We're going to do it over here. Closest, it's one of the highest spots in the water system on the hose here. And so your water level only has to drop a meager amount in order for the alarm to go off. So that's essentially where I'm going to do it. There is where I'm going to make my little cutout. And I'm going to mark backwards 2 lines, which gives me the indication of what is top of my pipe. On this side it is more or less irrelevant because I won't be cutting this side off. But once we've cut this side, this hose is going to be loose, and then if you install the fitting with the hose sticking up, it's just going to be a problem. So we're going to go straight forward, cut that out, and then fit the adapter. You could use an angle grinder with a cut-off blade. You could use many things. The scissors means that there's no dust and no black powder or anything that goes into your water system, and they're pretty simple. A good set of sharp scissors does the job. I'm just going to loosen it just to give myself some better angle, and you got to make sure that you're pretty straight. You want as clean and as square a cut as possible so that when you fit the adapter, it butts up nicely. So see what reason why I marked it, because once this pipe is out, you don't know what orientation it is. So I mark it so I know what is top. It's on a bit of a bend, but it won't be it's not a crisis. And so that is basically the replacement of the middle section of that, so that your hose is not too long. We're going to fit the adapter now. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put the hose clamp on, because if you don't, you're going to fit the adapters and then struggle to get the hose clamp over. So it's easier just to slide it up. You can undo the hose clamp completely and wrap it around. This is just the easier way. I generally orientate the hole of my water level sender to the top, so it's measuring the highest possible way. If you get repeat errors or repeat messages on your Madman coolant level, you can rotate the fitting so that the sensor screw is at the bottom to give a slightly lower water level. But ideally you're wanting that pipe to be full of water, and you're wanting to monitor the water level. So we just squeeze it in nice and tight, nice and snug. You don't want that thing coming loose. I've got space on this one to slide this hose clamp on. I'm not going to slide it on until the end. I'm just going to wrestle this one into submission. Let me put a little bit of lube on it. Use a little bit of rubber grease if you absolutely have to. Use normal grease, but these are not grease and oil hoses, they're water hoses. So they're not really made to handle grease and oil-based lubricants. So it just needs the smallest little bit. And you see why I orientated and I drew the lines on top at first. And this way, my temperature sender is sticking out this way. You might find, I'm actually going to remove it now because I want my temperature sender sticking out the other side. If I'm using the old sensor, I'd face it forward, but I'm using the new ones. For demonstration purposes, the new senders of Madman have this fixed pigtail. If you put the pigtail on this side, there it is very close to the drive belt and radiator fan. If you're running your wires and you're not careful, it can get caught. So I want to, on this install, orientate it towards the firewall, rather, so that I know everything is, there's not going to be any wire pinching anywhere caught in any fan blades. So that's more or less the orientation. You can see there's a lot of corrosion and nasty buildup here. So before I put the adapter on, I just want to take a second just to clean up this pipe a little bit, just with a wire brush. Doesn't take much. It's not stuck on there very hard. But if the problem is this will lead to air leaks and air ingress or water leaks when this calcification, I suppose you could call it, builds up. So it's better just to take the time while you're doing it, just to take care of these small things. You don't want the thing to drop you in the bush. You've got to remember that your hose clamp has got to go on there. So if you've got the factory hose clamp that we've already removed, you must slide that over because you can't uncoil it like this. Slide that over first. So this wire has gone a bit astray somewhere there. I guess there's been an installation or a change or two. It's shifted from its factory location, so I don't want it to be in the way when we come and when they do the thread repair. Oh, come on. There we go. Okay. And there's your water hose adapter fitted. We will now come and fit the probes for the water level and water temperature. Water level, water temp. We are now going to install the water level sensor, which essentially is a stainless steel 5mm 5x15 screw, which just screws into the adapter. Make sure you put it through this little tab. Otherwise, when you do your wiring, you're going to have to unscrew this thing and put its tab underneath it afterwards. So put the tab on. I like to add a little bit of blue thread locker. You don't need a lot, just a little bit to enhance the seal. Definitely don't use any thread tape on this fitting whatsoever. It's got to be snug, but don't strip it. It is very fine thread. I'm orientating the tab towards the firewall because my wiring is going to come from this side, not in front of the fan blades or in front of the pulley. So I put the tab in that way so my wiring will go that way. When you're installing these onto the pigtails in, you've got to be careful that you don't mangle the wires. Yeah, they're very thin little wires connecting to the plug. Let the whole assembly rotate together as you're doing it. Again, just a little bit of thread locker, and it needs to go in easily. If you feel that it's not going in easily, you've probably got it cross-threaded. They are very fine threads, and it's very easy to make the mistake. And if you cross-thread it, you're likely going to have a leak in that spot. I'll just do it as firm as my hand will take it, and then I'll go and cinch it down with a spanner. On these senders, it's a 10mm spanner. And see what I mean about the pigtail turning at the same time. If you allow that to get caught and you turn this, it'll twist the wires up and potentially break it at the sender. You've got to be careful of that. So, and because it's all covered, if it breaks off, you won't see it, and it'll be difficult to find the fault. You don't want to be over tightening this. It just needs to be snugged down. It really just has to be a watertight contact. And you'll feel when it starts to get to the end of its depth, it starts to snug down a bit. Just get it snug. Don't strip the thing. That's good. It's a very fine thread. Plus, I've put the thread locker on it. That now is a nice watertight seal.
Get him on the chuck of the drill so that I can get the thing.
It is lower.
Is that the big gap? It's the only big gap.
Yeah.
Hi, it's Brian from Madman Developments here. Our products are made in South Africa and available to everyone around the world. We have an online shop and warehouse in South Africa selling to the world, and a dedicated shop and warehouse in the USA for the Americas. Go to madmandevelopments.com for all the information you need, including shops and contact details for sales and technical assistance.